check.
Yo, check.
You guys look comfy. Those are comfortable seats. What a trade.
So cozy.
Oh, wow, those are plush as hell.
This is where all those
all about
union
comfort.
dues are going.
We were standing in the back.
Well, thank you for being here. We're sorry two of your peers are not with us today, but they're here in spirit. So I actually wanted to start with Zach, and if you could introduce yourself and tell us your first SAG job.
You guys don't know it?
We're sure it's a big hit, whatever it was.
Well, my name is Zach Knighton, and my first SAG job was a horror film called Cherry Falls, starring Jay Moore and Brittany Murphy. And actually, it's a funny story if you want to hear it.
Sure.
I had an agent. I was in college. I lived in Virginia at the time, and they were casting for Michael Bihn's younger self in a flashback. You guys know Michael Biehn, like. So they didn't need to audition. They just needed to see the headshots. So my agent at the time sent in my headshot, my roommate's headshot, and mixed the resumes. So this was at a time when headshots were black and white and resumes were on the back. And so they thought they were casting him, but they thought his name was Zach Knighton. So I went to the job. Got my hair cut, got like wardrobe. It was all like a one-day kind of thing, and so they did it all then, and was so excited and got a knock on the door. We made a mistake. You weren't the guy that we wanted to cast, and no shit, because they felt so terrible, they created a part for me in the movie.
So awesome.
And the part that they made for me was a million times better than what my roommate got. He was playing a rapist. And
awesome.
I got to be like a funny guy in the movie, so that's my first SAG job.
Very good.
Wow.
It's on USA every Halloween around 2 a.m. You might catch it.
Oh, gosh. That's fun. I can't compete with that.
No.
Same question to me, though.
Sure, yeah. And introduce yourself, too.
My name is Elisha Cuthbert, and I play Alex on Happy Endings. Well, I started my career in Canada, so I was with the ACTRA union first, and I started at 12 years old. I started doing background work, actually. That's how I got into acting. My mom was friends with a woman whose parents were casting directors in Montreal, and they were looking for children from 15 to 10 years old to be in the background at this carnival. And so my mom kind of shoved me, my sister, my brother in there, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was amazing. So that's where my acting career started. So, and then I moved here when I was 18 and did my first pilot season and got 24. So that was my first.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I had been working quite a bit in Canada from the age of 12 to 18. So, but yeah, I got really, really lucky. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Eliza Coupe. I played Jane on that show. I was in New York and went in for this like 3-line part in a Chris Rock movie for Asian Girl 1, and and got the part because I'm Asian. So I got that part, and then when I got there, though, they didn't know that I wasn't SAG for some reason. So it's like this whole thing that they had to make me, like they had to pay for me to get into the union, and it was a whole thing, and they did it because I was I fit the part so well. Right. So
They couldn't cast anyone else.
yeah,
in that
they
part.
couldn't. It was like just me. So that was that. It was called I Think I Love My Wife.
I think I love my wife. Oh, yeah, I remember you in that. You looked really Asian.
She was the Asian one.
Yeah, you're Asian as hell. My first gig.
Wait, what's your name, by the way?
Oh, I am Damon Wayans Jr. and I play Brad on Happy Endings. My first gig was my dad did a stand-up special years ago. I don't remember. He had a big, crazy mustache. You know when those mustaches like
Yes.
in? You know, like the mustache. Yeah, one of those hefty guys on his face. It's like the ones you can just come in the room and just like hang it up like a hat. Like you put your hat down and it's like, yeah, honey, I'm home. So he did some special, and then we were playing. It was me and my little brother. I think I was like 5, maybe, and we played his kids, and we were like, support, like telling him to like sell out. Like I was telling him to sell out and like kind of like be like, politically correct. And my brother was like this militant little dude. He was like, no, fuck that. He got to curse and stuff. And that was my first gig. That was my first gig as a actor, and we were supposed to get paid $100. I remember that. Like we like signed like little contracts or whatever, and my dad instead just gave me this dinosaur. And I was like, I got the dinosaur. I was like, wait. I was like, how much was this? How much did this dinosaur cost? He wouldn't tell me. I just knew that he ripped me off and like pocketed at $100.
It was a gold-plated dinosaur.
I wish.
Since this audience is comprised of actors, I think everyone would love to know how one gets a role like this on a great show. So if maybe someone could talk about what the casting process was like. Obviously, it's different for each person, but how did the role initially come to you, through what means? Anyone can start.
I auditioned. No, I mean, I went in. What was cool about auditioning for the show is like, usually when you go in and you audition, you don't really, you're not given as much freedom to kind of be yourself or be what you think is funny. And the minute I went in there, David Cass, the creator of the show, was just like, he's like, just fuck around. That's what he said to me when I came in. I was like, oh, just fuck around? I love just fucking around. And so that's what I did. And like, and then then they matched me up with like a couple of different girls that they weren't even her, but there were like a couple of girls that were potentially going to be my wife on the show. And I just kept fucking around, and it got me the job, So I feel like, I don't know. I know sometimes when you audition and stuff like that, they want you to stay like, word perfect, but always try to find some room to put yourself in any audition that you do, because that's what they want. They hear these same lines over and over and over again all day long, so you might want to give them like a little bit of you.
Do you think that's more important for comedy than it is in drama, or do you think both?
I mean, I'm not really that familiar with drama, but I would assume that they'd like to see you no matter what, because that's ultimately who they hire, is you.
Yeah. How about you, Eliza?
I was reading a bunch of different pilot scripts, and for some reason I had taken the covers off of 2 of them, and one of them was another pilot, and one of them was Happy Endings. And I had read the other one, and then so when I saw the other one, I didn't know what it was, and they kept calling and saying, will you go in and audition for this? And I was like, no, I don't like it. I really didn't like it, but it was a different one that I was reading. And so I went in for the part of Alex, and like in the meeting, it wasn't even an audition. It was a meeting with the creator and the producers, and while I was sitting there, they were like, well, we like you for the part of Jane. And I was like in cutoff shorts, and I have tattoos and stuff, and I had like dark eyeliner on, and I was like, really? Interesting choice. And so but then of course when I like went in to actually audition, they couldn't like see that I could play Jane, so I had to like I had to sit there with the creator, and we had to like come up with this like rework the monologue for the audition, and it was like a whole thing. So it was nerve-wracking, but it was the same thing that he was just like, why don't you just fuck around with it? And so I did. I fucked around.
We're seeing a theme emerge here.
Put your earmuffs on, young man.
Oh man, come on!
I was looking at him the whole
I thought you
time.
were just short.
I was looking at him the
man.
whole time going, oh
Fudged
my
around.
God.
We just fudged around.
Oh boy.
Put your mustache on, man.
Now coming back from it now.
Oh boy.
Come on.
I didn't see him either, so I would have warned you.
He's heard all these words before.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He just went, yeah. Yes.
I'm trying to think. Well, I actually had taken a bit of a break after 24 because I was having a weird time getting jobs I guess because I was going through that stage of my career where I wasn't quite looking like a full adult. I was still looking childlike.
We'd played a daughter.
I'm
right.
playing a daughter and then moving into sort of a more adult role. But also really conflicted with what I wanted to do next. And I just was really adamant about, it sort of came to me where I was like, oh, well, the only thing that I feel like I haven't really conquered yet was comedy. I had been in comedy films, but not as like the funny one.
Right.
And I knew I hadn't shown that side of myself yet. So I kind of really took the time to stay clear of the 1 hour dramas, and if I was going to come back to television, I really wanted to be in a half-hour format. So that took a long time. That took like 2.5 years of not working and sticking to what it was that I felt like I needed to do and prove. And also, I wanted to do it for myself, to have. If you're going to get involved in a show, you sign that dotted line 6 years, and it's, if it goes, you're committed for almost a decade, and so you got to really love it. And
Did you find that people were resistant to thinking of you as someone who could do comedy after 24?
Yeah, I remember auditioning for things, and it's like they just were like, "What is she doing here? Like, this is so weird."
Yeah.
I had a tough time. I had a really tough time, but I stayed, confident, and then luckily, I met with David Casp and Jonathan Groff, who were meeting for this pilot, and we sat down, and I said, "Look, if you could just give me one joke per episode, I will, I promise you I will make it work, and I'll be, fine with being the straight person in this group of really funny characters. But if you just give me that one joke per week," and he's like, "Yeah, okay, let's do that." Now I was like watching tonight or just now, I'm being like, wow, this is incredible. I get to do so much more than that, and it's
And when you were
been
waiting
amazing.
to sort of find the right project, did you seek out additional training to be, to really like cut your comedy chops, or was there anything you were sort of trying to do to enhance your skills, or you just kept reading?
No, not necessarily. But every project and every comedy character is different. Eliza's character is so funny but so different from the comedy that I'm doing on the show. So it's hard to be prepared for something like that. I think it's just more of a matter of taking each audition, breaking it down, deciding who this character is, and going with that.
Well, it's also too the comedy's a different pace because it's single camera. It's not.
I've learned
joke,
a
joke,
lot.
joke,
I've
multi-cam.
learned a lot during the process of this. The stuff that I probably couldn't learn just from auditioning. Do you know what I mean? Like just being around these funny people and learning about timing and it's been a huge learning experience. And I think if you look at the stuff, or if I find I'm looking at the stuff when we started from now, it's just my comedy has been just growing so quickly.
You have like 2 jokes per episode now.
Yeah, basically.
2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
How about you, Zach?
I was the king of pilots. I did like 10 pilots in my career so far, and they've all been pretty terrible.
You filmed 10 pilots.
Nine pilots I did,
Wow.
yeah. 3 went to series, and this is the first one that went to a second season, much less a third season, so that was a good feeling. But I had done a pilot with ABC, a comedy pilot called Roman's Empire with Kelsey Grammer, and no one ever saw that one because he had a heart attack on a paddleboard in Hawaii right after that. And I don't know if you guys remember that. And so I thought that show was going to go.
Just a little tidbit for everybody.
I'm learning so much
My
right now.
agent called me. My agent was like, "Zach, I got bad news, man." "What are you talking about?" "Kelsey just had a heart attack, man." Kelsey had a heart attack. We knew that it wasn't going to go, but.
And they couldn't recast Kelsey Grammer at
Yeah.
that point. Yeah.
So I'd been with ABC, and then I had a show called Flash Forward that was on. Oh yeah, awesome. And that was really fun, and they came to me while I was doing that show and said, "Hey, do you want to be this guy on Happy Endings?" And I was like, Should I take this job? Are you telling me something?" And so yeah, I took the job, and then the other show got canceled, and then
But
We've
we
been
just
having fun.
recently made a pact the other day that if that happened to us, that we would all tell each other.
Oh yeah, we said if it happens on this show, we have to
If,
tell each
if
other.
get offered
ABC
another
offers us
job.
another show,
Anybody-
While the show is still
we
on
have
the air.
a team meeting immediately.
We're gonna have a meeting.
Yeah. So we learned from that.
Yeah.
It's like Survivor.
So tell your friends to watch the show.
So I've been working just for ABC really for the last 4 or 5 years in television, and they've been really good to me, and I'm really thankful to be on this show. I feel like it's just such a great experience, and we really do have. So I think it shows up on the screen. I think we just have a lot of fun, and
Yeah.
it's just a really nice environment to work in.
But you all seem to have a lot of fun too. I'm curious, the show has a real distinct kind of rat-a-tat sort of pacing with the dialogue that I'm wondering how much of that is on the page and how much of that is you guys sort of conjuring that when you're rehearsing, because it is very distinct. There aren't that many shows that I can even think of that each character kind of has that sort of zest, I guess.
Zest?
Yes, including you.
I feel like it is. I think it's a combination of the writing and the editing, because like we could say a line. I could say a line as slow as possible, and they'll find some way to make it.
Cut away from you and
Yeah,
go to
they'll-
someone
yeah,
else.
they'll cut. Yeah, they just. It's just like if you notice, like if when you watch it, I'll say something, then it'll cut to her saying something. It's just. It's.
Right.
I think it's all in the editing, and they do write it like they write like chunks of just paragraphs of like just dialogue that we're supposed to just rattle off as fast as possible. They're like more energy, more speed. You're just
Yeah.
like, dude, what the fuck? No one talks like this.
Well, Joe Russo, who is one of the exec producers on our show, he's not around anymore because he did a deal with somebody else. But he told us in the beginning to watch The Social Network. Oddly as it seems, like he wanted the show to be this sort of comic equivalent of The Social Network, to be just very quick and
Very
very
Sorkin-esque
fast.
in that
Yeah,
way.
and I think we've sort of accomplished that.
We have. It works. I mean, it definitely separates us from, the.
But they do write a lot of words. I mean,
It
we
is a
get
lot of
we
dialogue,
go to work some days, and I'm just like, oh my god, you gotta be kidding.
And then not to mention the stuff that we add, on
Right.
top of that, that's just like then fills in all the gaps that are in between there. So
Right.
I think it's also in our nature that we don't want any sort of quiet moments either.
There are- yeah.
It seems weird when no one's saying anything. So we
It's
just like
never quiet on our
no,
side.
never.
The two loudest ones aren't even here. We wouldn't even be talking. We wouldn't even be talking if they were
True
here.
that.
We wouldn't hear
So it's a good thing then. How do you go with all those pages and all that dialogue? What is your approach for learning your lines? Because I know that that's always a very signature thing for each person, but there has to be
Yeah.
probably a method to this because it's so overwhelming. Eliza, how about you?
I write out all my lines. So
You handwrite them?
Yeah.
Wow.
I handwrite everything, even if it's just a couple lines, because that's the only way I remember it. So if I haven't done that or they give me something new, even when I'm on set, I have to like turn over the sides and grab a pen and just write them out, because it's the only way I can remember things. So I do that every morning before I go to work.
Wow.
I write out, like, because they email us the sides, and then I sit there.
Like the night before for the next day?
Yeah,
Okay.
and I get up really early before I go to work. It's a whole other story. And and so I write out all my lines before I go to work.
How about the rest of you?
I have to see and learn them the night prior. I feel like when I have them subconsciously in my mind, I'm sleeping on them, it makes it easier for me to go there the next day, but I can't work on them too much, otherwise, I don't know, it gets me to a place where the words just start to be like nothing, it's sort of like that mushy, you overwork something and it sort of starts to disappear and you forget what it is that you were really even working on.
Right.
So it's just that prep the night before, just so that it's in there. If I can look away and recite it, it's done. The work is done. Next morning, during hair and makeup, I'll refresh, and then or tweak anything like a certain particular word that, oh, whoops, I didn't say this, I said that. Tweak that, get to set, and then the blocking of it becomes then the real work and the rehearsal, and then into But you got to know them enough to have the freedom to try something new. Especially in comedy, because if Zach throws something at me different and I'm like, wait, what? If you're still learning the lines and whatever that process is to get you to a place where you can know them is the best place to be, because there's no way around not thinking about what is my next line if you don't know it. Right? So I just feel like that's sort of my process.
Okay.
The night before, I got to dump out and I read it like while I'm dropping heat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not dropping heat, like
Yeah.
I have to assume that position. I have to put the pants down and sit and look at the paper.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. That's what I do after I write them out.
Oh yeah. Because I got little nerves, you know.
That's
You get
what
the
I
little
do after
nerves. You're like,
rehearsal.
"Oh, let me get these nerves
Yeah.
out. And the next day I know them.
So great. It's like you're taking it in and you're.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Circle of life, guys.
It's beautiful.
It is. It really is.
James Lipton would be so proud of us right now.
I mean, that's what I do. It's my process.
Hey,
My process is that I actually have to give Damon my lines, watch him drop heat, and recite my lines while he's sitting
All
on
right, so Dave.
Look at me.
Look at me while you do
Look
it.
at me.
Look at me while you do it.
Just kidding.
And they do this in my trailer, which really aggravates me. I walk in the morning and it's
We're working.
not again, guys.
We're working.
Every actor has his process.
yes, this is very, very illuminating. How much are the scripts changing while you're shooting? You had mentioned you roughly do one episode per week.
Right.
How much is the dialogue evolving? You know, does David, say, "Oh, we got to rework this page and we'll come back in an hour"? Like, how often does that happen?
No, I would say it definitely doesn't happen as much as I've seen it on other shows.
Yeah, no.
It's pretty. I feel like they know that we're going to change it enough that it pretty much stays the same. I mean, occasionally we'll have to change a scene because of we couldn't get the rights to something or we couldn't say this person's name, but I would say that causes more changes than actual problems with story or yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we always have to change for standards and practices.
That was my next question.
Oh.
Yeah.
What
They
are the
don't like
notes? What kind of notes are you guys? And maybe you're not actually getting physically the notes that Josh and Jonathan and David are. How much have you sensed that the network kind of asserting its maybe we shouldn't go there moments?
It's always after the table reads. Like we'll have
Okay.
some like stellar table reads with just like the funniest jokes in it.
Yeah.
And like as I'm laughing, I'm like, this is not getting it. I'll just
Too
be like,
much.
this is great. I know this will never see the light of day.
And half the stuff you and I do.
Yeah, and half the stuff
Yeah.
that we do.
But we've been figuring out ways.
We
to-
do,
we
Yeah,
do.
what
We've
was
been
your line?
taking it in.
Alicia had a really funny line.
There
It's not a.
We've
My
been-
line was.
Oh, I think I know
Wait,
what you're
gotta
going to
set
say.
it up.
Okay.
We're doing this episode we just finished
Wait, I better know
shooting.
this line.
This episode that we just finished shooting is all about us. I don't really remember what it was about, but it was mainly we're
You're
running
getting married.
around.
Oh
And
yeah, the wedding expo.
the wedding expo, and there's this whole running joke.
That we're
Earmuffs.
hanging out.
Gang
Gang hang.
Gang hang
Instead of.
rhymes with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
So at the end of the episode, Eliza happens to get hit in the face, and I go, "Well, it's not a good gang hang until." Well, it's not a good gang hang until someone takes a major shot to the face.
Yeah.
Like, like that gets by. I feel like a standards and practices guy reads that and he's just like, oh, that's a pretty funny joke.
I guess that's true.
Poor thing, poor girl got hit in the face.
Got hit in the face and
took it to the face.
It could just
So
be
we get
some,
around it. We get around
could
it.
be just some jargon that the young people are saying.
Yeah,
these
that's
days. They
what
don't-
I'm
yeah.
hoping.
Yeah.
I wonder what they
have
look
we
like.
have the
What do
little-
those guys look like? Like
Well, are they at the table reads? Do you have the standards?
No.
no, I want to know like the official dude that just goes,
Okay.
like that's his job. No.
I'm sure we could find this out for you.
God, his wife must be so not satisfied.
Or she's really
what?
sad.
That's
Or
too
she
bad.
gets it, like all out there.
Or it could be a woman. You never know. I mean,
Oh yeah, maybe.
you never know. You
Oh,
never
it
know.
could be a woman. Either way,
This is-
the
Either way,
spouse
yeah.
hates that person.
I will do.
No, don't
I will
put it
do
in
some
there.
research
no,
and get back to
no,
you.
No, you
not
can't.
with this mouth. No, that's not standards and practices.
That's against all standards and practices.
Oh
We
my.
get around it though.
Yeah.
Yes, you do, obviously. I was wondering, obviously, some of you have been on other series. What's the most surprising thing about being a regular on a TV series that you didn't anticipate? Part of your job that really surprised you, for better or worse?
Part that surprised me.
The way you learn your lines aside.
No, that's not surprising, by the way. I feel like more people than just me do that in here. See, look, yes, own it, own it.
There it is.
Good. It's beautiful.
I think like promotion probably
The
caught me
marketing
by
aspect.
surprise, as far as like how much you have to.
Well, ABC is a real big promoter of its shows too, I think.
Yeah,
More so.
on their channel.
Right.
Yeah, they will definitely promote the heck out of anything on their channel.
Definitely promote revenge.
Yeah.
I'm sure all you guys have seen ads for revenge.
Yeah, that's what I feel like us going like, doing all those talk shows and stuff and like,
Right.
Stuff like that that's promoting the show. I didn't know
Revenge.
we're going to have to do that much.
I feel like there's going to be a scroll of revenge.
Yeah.
Just right here. Starts
Actually,
playing behind us.
Emily Van Camp and Madeline Stowe are here, and they're coming out.
Oh, they do? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Great.
Surprised they have time with all their promotional duties. Going around the country and promoting their television show, Revenge. We actually did a thing, I don't know if you guys saw this, we had a thing where we were putting our faces on other shows that were getting promoted really well, like I Was the New Girl.
All these posters we made.
Yeah.
You are very adorable.
Somebody, who was it? Was it you
I
in
was
the
on Revenge,
revenge
yeah.
dress?
We should do that this year, dude.
I know, I think we just gave
I'll
up.
be the Mindy Project.
That's really funny.
Well, whatever you're doing, clearly it's working because the show's still on there. People love it.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
So clearly the audience is whatever may be lapsing with that, they're picking up the slack. But were there any other, Elisha, you transitioning from drama to comedy, has something surprised you in the way that, because those shows are so different. You were making a
right.
movie every week on 24, and this
Right.
is, it's a movie, but it's a different.
There's a lot of differences. Yeah, I mean, 1 hour drama don't do the hiatus thing. So you're going 10 months straight and you're breaking for Christmas and I know it's
That
tough,
was
but you
tough,
get
yeah.
but you get into a groove of that. And then with our show every 3 weeks we get a week off, so it's nice to get away from it and step back and come back and refreshed and then ready to tackle it some more. But I think the biggest thing for me is the energy. The energy around set, with 24 was real serious, real, obviously.
You're on location a lot too with 24.
On location a lot. It's really intense sort of stuff that you're dealing with, and you subconsciously, it's amazing. You get into this mind frame of that energy. You've done it. You played. You were dying of cancer. My God. I mean, it's just like it's. But on our show, it's funny, the same thing, but in a different way. You subconsciously are constantly up. Your energy's up. It's so funny. We're on set. We're constantly like bantering back and forth and doing bits. And I keep thinking to myself, is this subconscious to keep our energy up for each other? And then you get home and you're just like, oh God, I don't even want to talk. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to laugh. I just want to get into bed and But then I get there. As soon as I see them in the morning, I'm like, it's like what's wrong with me? I'm like, I just want to make them laugh all day long, even when we're not filming. I just like you turn into like this big ham when you get to set.
It's very evident.
What do you want for
watching
breakfast?
the
I'll have some eggs, please. It's like what? I get home and and on 24 it was like, can I have some eggs, please? Oh my God, who's coming? No, so it's like this energy is weird. It's like depending on what you're doing.
If you're not bringing your A game,
Oh.
you're gonna get eaten alive.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. I mean, everybody that we are sitting here and those other two that aren't here right now, they're brutal. I mean, they will pick you apart.
Yeah.
We destroy each other basically.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we really do. It's all
But it's all
love
funny.
and funny.
Like
But I was
What?
quiet the other
Like-
day on set.
Yeah, you were
Which
quiet
was
for
so
the first.
weird.
Just
Everyone
everyone
was
from
losing
like,
it.
all the crew was like, what's happening?
Is everything okay?
Because
Like I was just quiet.
because we're so
bizarre.
loud, and we're everybody's picking on everybody. Like the crew's coming after us, we're coming after the crew.
Yeah.
Rips we have like
bits.
inside jokes with
Bits.
everybody on set. It's great. It's
But
really, it's
I
really
think
fun.
we do that to find new material and to find things, and we just do it, and I don't even think half the time we realize we're doing it. You know?
I have to stay up like that. Like I mean, even when I go to auditions, like I have to like chat everyone up. Like I have to like, even if I'm walking through the lot, like I don't care who it is. It's a random. It could be a child, and I'm like, let's just have a conversation about your morning. Like I have to talk to people because if I go into an audition or if I go on
Right.
set and I'm hearing my voice for the first time that day, it's like forget it. I'll give a horrible performance.
I used to bring actually friends to auditions with me, just so that I wouldn't get in my head about what everyone else was busy doing, and I would sit and because you know the material, and you know when you don't know the material, but you know when you know it. So when you bring someone, sometimes it's nice to have someone there that you know that's not trying to mess with you,
Yeah.
and like you can just then go in and that person's there to go, well, good luck, I did that quite a bit, and then now I have this weird thing where I will learn the material and then get there and not have anything in my hand and psych everyone out. You know what I mean? And maybe not so much for everyone else, but for myself, to feel that sort of confidence that it's like, I know it so well, I don't even have to hold it or have it in my hand.
Right.
And go in, do it, and get out. I just like it's
That's
weird.
cool. You know what I do? Like a little weird technique. Not weird. I just do it. I don't sit down. Like when I go into the
Yeah,
audition room, I
interesting.
never sit
That's
down
smart.
because I don't like cooling off. Because you can, like, when you walk in there and you see all these people chilling,
Yeah.
like, you can see the cool, and then you have to bring yourself back up to that point. I'm just like, nope, I avoid that. So I'll go and just walk around. I will
That's
chat
good.
everyone up. I will stretch. I will stretch these parts.
Yeah. Oh, for
Stretch
sure.
my neck.
For sure.
Everything's getting stretched, so I'm just loose.
interesting.
You
So
know
if you
what I'm
don't
saying?
sit
I'm just
down,
loose.
do you go to the when you have to go dump
No,
out?
I
you
stand up.
You
Yeah, I
okay,
stand
good,
up.
good,
Yeah,
good, good,
take my pants completely off.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's weird, you guys.
It's a
the
gross-
visual that I
gross
have right now in my
visual.
head.
Oh man.
There's a lot of dumping out.
Real men stand up to do both.
I can't believe you got an applause for that.
when people can relate, I can't deny
It's
it.
Sunday morning. I mean, we're
Yeah.
all.
Exactly.
That's how you talk on a Sunday.
What's happening?
So we just have a few minutes left, but I wanted to get to some questions from the audience. And this is actually a great question, so I'm sort of going to ask something similar. Elisha and Zach, how much did you know in advance that your characters were going to get together again? And how much do you generally know where your arcs are headed? Is that something that they're sort of keeping you in the loop on, or?
I mean, we started the show, and I think we had a really tough job in the beginning, especially in the first season, because we had to play this strife with each other, and the show was still finding where it wanted to go, and so we didn't get a lot of comedy, and we were sort of, I know I was, and I'm pretty sure you were, just sort of talking with them about when are we going to move on, and I think we did in the second season in terms of, my character, dating and moving on, and her redeeming herself and coming back. And so I think it was sort of only natural that we got together this year. And, it's really funny because it's definitely you don't see this side, you haven't seen this side of these two characters yet. And I think they kind of belong together. They're pretty funny together. But I didn't really know about it until this summer, I guess.
And I think too, we're both comfortable doing the characters together or apart because we've established both now. So really, I don't have any desire to sort of go up to Dave and go, where are we going with it? I'm taking it sort of week by week. It's one of those things where they're writing us funny stuff. There's no reason to sort of overanalyze it because we know we can do both now. So no matter where they take it, we'll be prepared for that. And so it's interesting.
Another great question. Maybe I'll have Damon answer this since he had a good role model. What is the best advice you were given about the business from your dad, if at all? Did he advise you against it? Did he advise you for it? Did he say, if you're going to do this, these are the things you have to remember, or did he let you figure it out for yourself?
I mean, he kind of let me figure it out for myself, but he definitely gave me, good tidbits of information. Like, as far as comedy goes, because my dad is like definitely he's a comedian first, and so he was always like, comedy is not rocket science. It's either it's funny or it's not, and you just have to figure out what isn't funny to become funnier. So it's like the quicker you know what isn't funny, the faster you'll know your way around that and not to do that. And he was also saying like, enjoy the ride, because he's like, oh no, that was Keenan. Keenan said that. He's like, enjoy your situation right now because you're part of an ensemble. You're having a good time, and he was like, the hard part is when you become that dude, like Will Smith or Russell Crowe,
Or you leave the comfort
people
of your
like
show,
that,
yeah.
and people and your name in the movie dictates how many people are going to sit in the theater. So it's all on your shoulders. So it's like right now you can enjoy yourself. So I like that.
And sort of on that subject, I always ask people who are funny, do you think you're naturally funny, or have you had to work at being funny? Or is this something that you've always felt since you were young?
I mean, I feel like not everybody, but a lot of people have like, no, there are people who are terrible at comedy. But I feel like, it's nature a little bit, and then it's like I'm around so many funny people, it couldn't help but rub off. And then you have to hone it though. You have to like make sense of it. You have to make it, structure it a little bit, And I feel like, especially that's what I like about stand-up. I like Adam Pally goes to UCB. He's like an improv guy. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep fine-tuning your instrument.
It's a skill,
because
really.
it will go away.
Oh yeah, like we take 5 months off, and that first episode back, I'm like in my trailer ready to throw up. Like I'm so scared and nervous, and because you haven't been around it, and
Right.
I can see why you go on the road
Yeah.
and you do stand up and you
keep
you
it
do
sharp.
the improv stuff and you keep it fresh. I mean, it comes back, but
Right.
it
Well,
needs
unlike-
to be worked on constantly.
Unlike drama, which you can't do sort of in your free
Yeah,
time, comedy
no.
is something you can do kind of on your own.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, it's like a language,
What is something that you wish you knew when you were starting out that you would want to tell these folks who are in various levels of their career at this point?
Not to get so worked up about that, like that one audition. Like I would always make it like every audition I had was like, this is going to be the one. It's going to change my life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have to waitress anymore. I'm not going to have to do this. And I would go in and like I would be like dripping sweat and being like, I would just go in and put so much on it and like just basically focusing on what the results were as opposed to just going in there and like having an experience and like growing from it, because you learn from each audition. I learned from each audition. And that's maybe all you need to get out of it, and it's not the part you're supposed to have, but the next one could be, if you can learn from that one and not like make it the biggest thing in the world.
Somebody once told me on that subject that you can't keep thinking, oh, I keep waiting for the one. It's sort of like you're already doing your career.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe has that been important for you to remember that you're already
Yeah.
doing it? It's just a
Yeah.
matter of what's the
Oh, yeah.
next step.
Yeah, and it's also like if that's not, like if you don't get that part, then like there's going to be another one around the corner and then another one, and like there's going to be, it will happen, but you can't like hold it. If you hold it too tight, you'll break it.
And also, along with that, become like a triple threat, Don't just be an actor. And not just because, I mean, it definitely helps you in the process of, of this industry, but it also keeps your mind off of like
Yeah.
auditioning and stuff. Like if you go on an audition and you don't want to think about it, write something that, you can focus on, either write or produce, direct. Get yourself, savvy with a lot of different things.
Probably just one last question. The business aspect of being here and being in Hollywood is something that I think a lot of people don't learn until they're in it, and then maybe they sort of feel stressed about managers versus agents and all the people sort of swirling around your orbit when you're a performer. Is there some piece of advice you would give these folks about, do you need a manager? Do you, how do you get an agent? And all these sort of nuts and bolts that you can't just cast yourself in a show. You need someone helping you in that process.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty overwhelming. I'm sure a lot of you, most of you are probably working plenty, so this is probably silly to say, but when I first started, I thought it was insane that I had all these different people taking money from me. And it was hard for me to come to terms with it, but as I've sort of been in it now for about, I don't know, 10, 11 years professionally, and I see how important it is to have those people and to, you know, surround yourself with people that you trust, that you really trust. And you know, I feel like in all different phases for me, you know, there's been a time where if I didn't have my manager, you know, I wouldn't even be here anymore, you know, because I had a flap with an agent or something happened. And so for me, my manager, you know, on a day-to-day basis maybe doesn't do all the work that I think he should be doing, but on the big ones, he comes through and it's worth all that money that you've been paying him. So I feel like any business, you know, you got to put back into it, and you have to, you know, it's important. I mean, for me, I just hired a publicist this year for the first time. And and it's, you know, I'm seeing a lot of traction from that and getting talk shows and things like that. And, you know, it was insane to me, the idea of paying a publicist. And I just realized that this business is not the type of business that your work is just going to speak for itself and you're going to get, you know, everyone's going to love you because you're great. It's not true. You have to have someone out there like pushing you on people and trying to get you in those things. And I just think it's important to reinvest in yourself and your business.
When also somebody pushing for you who isn't just affiliated with the network and affiliated with the
Right.
show. I mean, pushing you for other jobs and pushing you for projects you're doing during hiatus and stuff like that. Well, I think that's all we have time for, but thank you very much for coming.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.